What's up? What's going on, world of YouTube? This is RJ Game News USA here, back today with the finale of my little mini-series I've been doing on the history of the Super Bowl. This is part 6. We're going to cover Super Bowls 51 through 60 today. 60 hasn't happened yet, it's next year's, but we'll go over some details about that. But we got to kick it off with Super Bowl 51. And right off the bat, I'll tell you this is my all-time favorite Super Bowl. It's even better than Super Bowl 49. So if you like this kind of content, please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's jump right into it. So, Super Bowl 51, the New England Patriots beat the Atlanta Falcons in overtime 34-28. But that does not do it justice. The Falcons went up 28-3 with like 2 minutes left in the third quarter. And that's when pure magic happened. Tom Brady on a 25-point Super Bowl comeback leads the game to overtime. And in overtime, they win the game. It was the first championship game to go overtime since the 1958 Colts-Giants game back in the day, which predated the Super Bowl. So many remarkable things about this game. Atlanta choking, Matt Ryan fumbling, Tom Brady throwing for nearly 500 yards in this game in an absolutely heroic fashion to bring his team back for a victory. It's one that I'll never forget. I will remember this Super Bowl until the day I die. It's the Super Bowl, in my opinion. And it gave Tom Brady and Bill Belichick their 5th Super Bowl ring, which cemented them as GOATs. I already thought that Brady was the GOAT quarterback, but this really left no argument for Montana. And as far as Belichick being the GOAT coach goes, this also had him surpass Chuck Noll in his 4 Super Bowls, so I think it left no room to doubt. It was such a huge, important game, and one that I'll remember the rest of my life. It made me very happy. But then we got to talk about a game that didn't make me so happy. Super Bowl 52, where the New England Patriots were defending their championship against the Philadelphia Eagles. And the Eagles won this game 41-33. This was not the best efforts on defense. There was more yards in this game than any NFL game in history. Patriots had the ball down 38-33 and with like a few minutes left. And I thought, like so many times before, Brady was going to go down the field, take the lead, and win the game. Brandon Graham shot through and knocked the ball out of Brady's hands. And that's all she wrote. Nick Foles came in as a backup quarterback to win this Super Bowl. The Philly special happened here. A lot of bad memories of the Eagles winning a Super Bowl here that I wasn't too fond of. Brady in the loss threw for 505 passing yards, which is not just a Super Bowl record, but a playoff record. And it wasn't enough. It came down to a Hail Mary at the end that was almost caught. Nick Foles was your MVP. Doug Peterson was your head coach. Oddly enough, none of these guys would be around for the Eagles' run now that they have going on. Most of that team wasn't the same as the just now crowned Philadelphia Eagles, but we'll get more into that later. But you know, the Patriots were on an every other year kick. So the good news is they bounced back in Super Bowl 53. The New England Patriots faced the Los Angeles Rams, and they beat them 13-3. It was a tight game. It was a defensive game, but 10 fourth quarter points for the Patriots sealed the deal as they won their 6th Super Bowl and the last one of their dynasty. Yeah, there's better Super Bowls than this. Julian Edelman won MVP. But it's still a Super Bowl's a fucking Super Bowl. And so I was very happy as a Patriots fan to see them win Super Bowl 53. We would know 4 years later, or 3 years later, the Rams would be back. And we will get more into that later. Teams that get to a Super Bowl and lose, sometimes they come back and they win. And we're going to get on more than that later. So we will move on from that. Then we have Super Bowl 54 between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs won this game 31-20. It was Patrick Mahomes' first Super Bowl. He was red hot in the NFL at the time. Up and coming young star at the time. The 49ers were up 20-10 midway through the fourth, and the Chiefs threw 3 touchdowns on the board. Bam, 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 and won the Super Bowl in a shocking fashion. But, that's what happened there. And there would be a rematch of this Super Bowl, too. We've seen lots of Super Bowl rematches, but we'll get into more of that later. Patrick Mahomes won the MVP of this game. I still, with the hand of God, think Damian Williams should have won the MVP. He had a bunch of all-purpose yards and first downs and touchdowns in that game to help them win. But usually the quarterback wins that award, so I can't fault it. So we move on to Super Bowl 55. This is one of the most important Super Bowls in history because Tom Brady fought Patrick Mahomes. And this wasn't close, guys. Brady blew him out 31-9. Bucks blew out the Chiefs. Chiefs were going for back-to-back Super Bowl titles. It didn't happen for them. Their offensive line struggled. The Bucks just made Mahomes run around like a chicken with his head cut off, and they couldn't get in the end zone. So, that was not good. That was a blowout. And it put Brady at 7 Super Bowls, kept Mahomes at 1 at the time. And also interesting because, and I'm wearing this shirt from the party that Brady had afterwards where he got drunk and had to be escorted out. But him winning a Super Bowl on another team after spending 20 years with the Patriots is kind of crazy. At age 43, he went through Breeze and retired him. He went through Rodgers in his house, and then he beat Mahomes in the Super Bowl, who was in his prime. I mean, it's the greatest postseason run ever. And he gets tremendous credit for that. And I'm pretty sure that moment put GOAT status out of reach for any future quarterback. Unless somebody wins 7 or 8 Super Bowls, so. And then we get to Super Bowl 56. The Rams were back after losing it 3 years prior to the Patriots. And they're facing the Cincinnati Bengals, who got there with a young stud quarterback, Joe Burrow, and flashy offensive weapons. Be honest, I was kind of rooting for the Bengals in this game. But the Rams pulled out the win, 23-20. The MVP was Cooper Kupp. He was dominating at the wide receiver position. Aaron Donald was a monster all day that day. It was an entertaining game. It was back and forth. It was a very interesting Super Bowl. As you could tell, Super Bowl 51 was interesting and close. 52, interesting and close. 53 and 54, mostly interesting and close. And 56, interesting and close. You're noticing a trend here. These Super Bowls were all interesting and close in this decade. But yeah, big deal for Matt Stafford here. Before this playoff run, didn't even win a playoff game. And then he immediately won 4 straight playoff games. And his first year with the Rams won a Super Bowl in the Rams building. He literally pulled the Tom Brady, but for the Rams. Stafford gets a lot of credit for that. And if he does manage to get in the Hall of Fame, that definitely helped his case. Then we get to Super Bowl 57. The Kansas City Chiefs faced the Philadelphia Eagles in a very entertaining, high-scoring game. Chiefs won 38-35. Both these teams were the top seeds in their conference, 14-3 records. The Chiefs had a high-flying offense with Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts was not that far behind with the Eagles and their high-flying offense. This game was back and forth. It was entertaining as hell. A little bit ruined by a late holding call that I don't think a lot of people agreed with. But it is what it is. Revenge will be best served cold a couple years later, which we'll talk about. But the Chiefs and the Mahomes won their second Super Bowl in this decade. And were trying to cement themselves as a dynasty. And in fact, the very next season, they would be a dynasty because the Kansas City Chiefs played the San Francisco 49ers in the Super Bowl, and they beat them 25-22 in overtime. Only the second Super Bowl ever to go to overtime. And this game was wild. It was a good game. I wouldn't say it had the highest level. It wasn't the greatest game ever, but it was good. Like I said, you look at these Super Bowls, 58's good, 57's good, 56 is good, 55, it was a blowout. 54 was good, 53 was kind of more defensive, 52 was good, 51 was good. So we've had a long string of good Super Bowls here. Mahomes won his third Super Bowl MVP here. The Chiefs won their third Super Bowl in 5 seasons and became a dynasty back-to-back. And famously, at the end of this game, Mahomes said, "We're not done. We're going for 3. I want a three-peat. We're going to do something that's never been done before." Why don't we see how that turned out? Why don't we see how that turned out? And yep, I am talking about Super Bowl 59, where the Philadelphia Eagles defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 40-22, a game that just finished like an hour ago as of this recording. Jalen Hurts was Super Bowl MVP. The Chiefs did a decent job at stopping Saquon Barkley, but Hurts made them pay with his legs, his arm. But the big story here was the Chiefs had no offense at all, especially and not really until there was garbage time. Like at one point, this game was 40-6, and then the Chiefs got a couple more garbage touchdowns. I mean, it was at one point it was, what was it? 34-0? 34-0? So even though this actually was not a bigger blowout by the end score that Super Bowl 55 was, or that other Super Bowls have been, like Super Bowl 48 that was 43-8, this game felt as dead as a dead game could ever feel. Like this game was, what was it? 3 quarters of shutout football. I was starting to wonder if the Chiefs were going to make history by being the first team to not score any points. Luckily for them, the Eagles let up at the end a little bit to make the box score not look so embarrassing if you look back on it. But if you watch this game like I just did, this game was as dead as a doornail. Pick sixes. The Chiefs only had 23 yards of offense in the first half. They only tried running the ball 3 times in the first half. They were 0 for 9 on third downs. Mahomes in this game took like 5 or 6 sacks and threw 2 interceptions. One of them was a pick 6. When the Eagles were up 10-0, everybody in the country thought the same thing, and I was probably thinking, well, down 10, that's the Chiefs' MO. What's the truth about the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? They always were down 10 and won. But then that pick six happened. Everything changed. It was different this time. Jalen Hurts ran the ball effectively. He got his revenge. He passed the ball well. Saquon Barkley got a ring. Nick Sirianni got a ring. Hurts got a Super Bowl MVP and a ring out of it. It felt like a full circle moment. The entire country had started to turn against the Chiefs because of officiating and the refs. And Donald Trump himself went into attendance to make sure this game would be refereed and officiated fairly, and it was. The Chiefs actually got holding calls. The other 3 Super Bowls they won, they weren't called for holding a single time, even though they've clearly held Nick Bosa all the time. Just 2 years ago, when they faced the Eagles in Super Bowl 57, there was that controversial defensive holding call that led to the Chiefs just kicking in a chip shot field goal to win the Super Bowl. Obviously, we've seen the issues in this year's playoffs with the Chiefs getting phantom calls versus the Texans, like the roughing the passer calls to extend drives. The Josh Allen stuff where Allen clearly had a first down, or Worthy caught a ball but it really hit the ground, and several plays like that were complete BS that people were really calling out the NFL for, and I think they actually got the refs' attention a little bit, and the game was officiated more fairly. Now, a lot of people were saying, look, NFL's not rigged, it's not scripted, they didn't want to benefit the Chiefs in any way, it was always a fair game. I call bullshit a little bit because clearly they at least wanted to get Taylor Swift to the Super Bowl. Now, luckily for the rest of the country, they didn't give a shit once they were there what happened. And we actually got a fair football game, and we saw what happened. The Eagles were the better team. The Chiefs' luck had finally run out. The checks bounced, we'll say. The checks bounced. And now, 30,000-foot view. What are we left with? Well, I had to hear all week long from people. Well, if Mahomes wins this game and they win the three-peat, he's the GOAT. But guys, you aren't looking at it logically and rationally. Even if he won this game, he would have 4 Super Bowls to Brady's 7. And that's 4 Super Bowls in 7 years starting. Tom did that from age 36 to 43. He won 4 and 7. He just did it every other year, not all together bunched in at once. You don't get extra credit because it's all bunched together. Like, I get that 3-peat's a cool achievement, right? Just like being undefeated in the regular season's a cool achievement, like the Patriots did in 07. But it doesn't make every time you win a Super Bowl, it doesn't make the subsequent Super Bowl more important than the previous one. It just doesn't. They're all Super Bowls. They're all rungs of a ladder towards greatness. So, just for that reason alone, and people acting like complete fucking morons this week, I'm glad the Chiefs lost. Because now, hopefully, people won't just next year all of a sudden try to make Mahomes a GOAT again. He's 3-2 in the Super Bowl. His 2 losses, he got his ass blown out. Period. He is 0-2 against Brady in the playoffs. Okay? Brady was 7-3 in the Super Bowl. Okay? And when it comes to the GOAT case, he's got more pass yards, more playoff pass yards, more playoff completions, more regular season pass yards, more regular season touchdowns, more regular season completions, more regular season wins, more playoff wins, more division titles, more conference titles, more Super Bowl wins, more Super Bowl MVPs, more Pro Bowl selections. What else do you need to see, guys? What else? Stop. Just fucking stop. Stop doing this to yourself. Oh, look. Don't even talk about it. Don't even talk about Mahomes being the GOAT unless he's got 6 and then he's on his way to get 7. And then, even then, he probably still needs 8. But shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. It's over. Thank you. Clearly, it's over. It's over. the next person who tries to make the case for that is a fucking retard. You're all entitled to your opinion, but you could be a retarded fucking idiot with an opinion too. And then we got to talk about Andy Reid. Had a lot of Chiefs fans texting me during the game. We don't always see eye to eye. But they really tried hard to put the loss on Andy Reid. I don't put the loss squarely on Reid's shoulders. I think this is an entire team embarrassment. Andy Reid does take some blame for lack of adjustments. But bottom line is Mahomes played one of the worst Super Bowls of all time a quarterback's ever played. And that's the second time this has happened. And when you look hard at his Super Bowl MVPs, he hasn't necessarily played amazing either. I think he only had 182 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the Eagles he won before. Just saying. I already thought Damian Williams should have been the MVP in Super Bowl 54. Just saying. Not to be overly critical of Mahomes, because I do also hear idiots out there who tried to say, well, if Josh Allen had beaten Mahomes, he's the best quarterback in football. Shut the fuck up. That's like one win out of the 4 he faced him, and he didn't even pull it off. So obviously Mahomes is still the best quarterback in football. For him not to be, someone else would have to win 3 Super Bowls. So don't make me defend him. But anyway, and I don't think Travis Kelce's retiring. You kidding me? You think you're gonna let that be his last game? No way. And then for the Eagles, you had all the idiots out there, including myself, because I was an idiot when I said this. Thought Nick Sirianni's got to go. He's got to go because of last year. Well, he's been to 2 Super Bowls his first 4 years. Now he's won 1. I'll shut the fuck up about Sirianni. Give him a 10-year extension. He fucking deserves it. Then you had the naysayers about Jalen Hurts. Well, he's not really an accurate passer. Jalen Hurts does not give a shit how he does it. He'll throw it. He'll run it. He'll do whatever it takes. He'll hand it off to Saquon Barkley if he has to. The only thing Jalen Hurts cares about is winning the football game. And by God, the Eagles put a great team around him. The Chiefs GM and the Eagles GM are the 2 best GMs in football, figuring out how to fill up loaded rosters despite their quarterbacks having high-priced contracts. It's astounding to see. Great drafting. But Eagles will still be a factor in the future. Chiefs will still be a factor in the future. Hope to God we never see this game again in the Super Bowl. We've seen it twice now. They split it. Call it good. No more of that, please. I don't want to have to be in a position where I root for the Philadelphia Eagles ever again. Okay? And then you got Saquon Barkley, who he didn't have the greatest game in the world, but he had an absolutely tremendous season. It was the right call to sit him in Week 18, and it was paid off with a Super Bowl. There's some alternate timeline out there where Sirianni played him, Barkley got hurt, and then he ended up fired. But that did not happen. So 30,000-foot view. Congratulations, Eagles. You deserve the Super Bowl. Also, I'm tired of the Super Bowl being in the same location every year. Spread it around more. I feel like you're starting to see it in a little more different locations. I hear Dallas might get it again, and San Francisco. But I want cold weather cities to get it too. Fuck it. Why is it always going to be the warm weather cities or domes? That brings us to Super Bowl 60, which hasn't happened yet. But we've done 10 Super Bowls every part of the series. So I figure let's do a preview of Super Bowl 60. It's going to be on NBC, February 8th, 2026. It's going to be in San Francisco, or wherever the 49ers play their home game, Santa Clara, whatever. I'm excited. I'm already excited next year. And I already think I know who's going to win. I already kind of know who I want to root for. My Patriots aren't ready yet. They're just not. Hopefully they get better. I really like the Lions. I've kind of adopted them as my second team. I really like the idea of the Lions winning a Super Bowl. You know, the 49ers I adopted for a little while as my second team. But Dan Campbell, man. Come on. How do you not like him? A lot of people worried they're losing their coordinators. Might actually be a blessing in disguise. Because I think sometimes Ben Johnson got a little too cute. A little too creative. And I think the Lions, I think they got it this year. Coming up. Their defense will be healthier. And that's what they needed. I don't know if they'll be 15-2 again. Or the 1 seed again. But they get mostly the same offense back and they get that defense healthy. Watch out. Watch out for Detroit. AFC, I got no idea. Please, anybody but the Chiefs. Give me the Bills. Give me the Ravens. Give me the Bengals. Anybody but the Chiefs. Give me the Texans. Somebody, please. But Lions all the way, baby. All right. So that will be the end of this mini-series. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. I appreciate it. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Were you happy with Super Bowl 59? Do you have any memories of the Super Bowl that you'd like to share? Just give me a holler. But until next time, guys, I will see you later. Peace. Have a good one.